You are enough. You are literally enough. And, having that realization isn't always easy because, especially for someone that's like always raising the bar, they might have other people in their life tell them that they're fine the way that they are before they ever believe that themselves. And so I definitely have some empathy for being in that situation because I've been in that situation to where I heard people telling me that like I'm enough, but like I wasn't able to believe it yet. And look, the journey of self-discovery always starts with learning how to love yourself. Being able to show up like exactly as you are and love yourself just like that.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode, another podcast of Beneath the Physique. Today, I'm sitting down with Taj, a Moroccan entrepreneur, CEO of the Resilience Company, and someone who spent years in the health and fitness space while also doing deep work on mental health, identity, and self-worth. Taj's story isn't about perfection or performance. It's about resilience, self-honesty, and learning how to love yourself exactly as you are. This conversation isn't here to judge or tell anyone what to do. It's simply an honest look beneath the physique into the choices we make and how we make them, and what it really takes to live well, both mentally and physically. Taj, what's going on, brother?
Just happy to be here, man. It's another beautiful day, another day alive. And I mean, dude, you must have practiced that introduction like 40 times because you nailed it.
Honestly, brother, ChatGPT and AI and learning about who you are and plugging in some stuff helps out a lot. There's nothing to hide here. Taj, for people who don't know you yet, who is Taj, and what do you do for a living outside of fitness?
For sure. Fitness is a huge part of my life, for sure. But for starters, my name is Taj. Full name, Alexander Taj. I go by my last name, Taj, because I'm Moroccan, and it just is kind of stuck throughout the years. For work, what I do is, at this point, I've started a clothing brand. It's called the Resilience Company. Our tagline is Beyond Clothing, it's a state of mind. I have spent the last little bit over 18 months at this point, really like pioneering a new space within the fitness industry for apparel to actually become more purpose driven. And I kind of attribute that to like my own experience, like going through like mental health trials, tribulations, and, coming off of certain things. So I created a brand to shine a light on the fitness industry, pretty much just promoting mental health and self-love. So everything that you want to talk about is literally all that I'm about.
I love that, bro. It's so cool to see someone create a product, your clothes, the Resilience Company, and the foundation of what it sits on is what you just said, that the mental health and everything we kind of go through. I think that's very, very powerful. How did health and fitness first enter your life, and what did it give you at that time, Tosh?
Health and fitness. Honestly, health and fitness first came into my life when I was 14 years old, freshman in high school. I was a little skinny swimmer kid. Was pretty good at swim, but all the cool kids played football, right? Always. I got called small. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go check out the weights. My dad was like super big into like weightlifting. Took me to the gym. I remember this so clearly when I was 14, 3 days before the last day of my freshman year of high school. I'm hearing all these kids talk about like, oh, like I'm putting up 45s. Like, oh, I'm putting up like 185. And I'm like, I got this. So I went in there and I'm just warming up. First time you bench, you usually start with what? The bar. Just stretch it out, So I unracked the bar. I'll never forget this. I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to put on 45. Boom. It didn't go up. And honestly, it was at that moment that I feel like I had my very first identity crisis, conflict, whatever you want to call it, because everything that I thought that I was completely humbled. And I was like, holy shit. And so I talked to some people and I was like, okay, so you're telling me if I just like keep doing this, like I can improve that weight, improve like how I look. So I got into bodybuilding, honestly, in fitness by mistake. And I guess initially it was really just to, prove people wrong, for lack of say.
Wow.
You feel me on that?
Yeah. That's very interesting that you can, go back to that moment in time and probably relive that and feel those emotions, and that's what triggered you to like, well, I gotta get on my fitness game. How did the other guys react when that happened, when that fell on you like that?
Well, dude, it took about like 3 years. How did they react to the bar falling on me? Um, you know, they kind of humiliated me. I had a lot of like shame, embarrassment, and yeah, I just didn't really feel like I was gonna amount to anything at that point in time. I was like, shit, like this sucks. Super embarrassing.
Yeah, I feel that, bro. Like as a young man, those situations that happen, and I'm sure have happened to millions of other young men and women. It's crazy how that can just affect you so deeply. Did you, when that happened and you went home that day, um, did you talk with anyone about that? Was it just you dealing with those feelings alone? Did you just soak it up and deal with it? How'd that go?
I feel like when I first got into fitness, one of the most familiar emotions, like very familiar friend, was anger. I was pissed off. Truly, I was pissed off. And like that feeling that I had when I went home honestly never went away for quite some years. So I'm telling you, like every single day from like that summer on, I went to the gym literally every single day. Whether before I could drive, I was running 2.5 miles to get to the gym. I was, skipping swim practice to like faking that I had cramps because I would rather be lifting weights, because my self image to me for the remainder of high school was so important to me. Like if they were going to call me small, I knew one thing. It was that at some point they were going to like, I'll eat their words. Um, so it honestly like really tore a hole in me. Um, hearing, hearing like these like negative things. And like, I suppose that my commitment to my fitness and like my body, um, it started to evolve. It went from being driven from anger to eventually, I started to become like addicted to this feeling. I started getting recognition probably like 3 years into it. People were like, oh, like you got some muscles, man. I'm like, yeah, I guess. Um, and yeah, I just pretty much just kept going. And at a certain point, I basically, sorry, what was the question again?
Yeah, and just you when all that was happening with you, did you have, and thank you for sharing that with me. I think that was a very important point that you talked about. But did you have anyone around you, other friends or family that you could, talk with, these emotions that you were going through at this time?
No, honestly. Um, and I feel like, what I'm about to say is definitely not how I feel anymore. But in this time period, right? Like 2013, 2014, before social media was like super big. Um, there was like a general like society stigma of like, oh, dude, just be a man. Like your emotions aren't real. And like men weren't as normally, as they are now, able to freely express their emotions on like how things made them feel. It's like, I feel like a positive thing about social media today is that, you know, people recognize the importance of a man being able to share a little bit about their trials and tribulations, because, sometimes like the battles that you carry within are better faced with someone else that can support you, because no one should have to like go through like hard shit internally alone.
Yeah, and a lot of us do, brother. That's why it's so cool that you felt safe enough to come on here, because there's going to be a lot of young men hear what you just said and go, "Whoa, that was me." There is a safe place out there to understand I'm not alone. Taj, at what point did gear enter the picture for you, and what did you believe it was going to give you back then?
Oh, dude. By the time I graduated high school, right, I was, I was finally invited into like this like cool kids group because they're like, oh, dude, this guy's actually pretty jacked in a tank top, right? So stupid. Literally so stupid. Didn't even matter. And, the very first cycle that I was ever introduced to was my senior year of high school. I was 17 years old. I think I started my cycle on Valentine's Day. I didn't really have a Valentine. I think that's why I did it. And I took I don't know if I should explicitly mention what it is, but I hopped on some gear and I put on like 40 pounds of muscle, and water, of course, within the first 60 days.
Wow.
So, leaving high school, leaving my parents' roof, I was just ready to like jump the gun on this. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm leaving this like pond that like I've been living in high school. And now I'm going to college in like a different city. No one's going to know who I am. No one's going to know and like respect me the same way that I proved to everyone over this 4-year period that, I am worth something. I did get big, like screw you all. So I go into college and, I felt morally obligated to continue doing what I did. From that point, 2 years of, not knowing anything about blood work, not knowing anything about like a protocol and like how to like properly dose any of that. I found myself on a cycle for 2 years, literally no off period. And, I liked it. I was getting big. I competed in my first men's physique show in 2015. I think it was the desert. I don't know. It was like an old show here in Phoenix, Arizona, but I got 4th place, right? I had proved again at this point to the people that I went to school with that I'm big, and like that thing that like happened to me when I was young, people calling me small, it honestly just never left my head. So any different like circle of people that I went to, I just had this anger within me. I felt like the only way to feel better about myself was to change my appearance and by any means, change my appearance, like disregarding health, disregarding like all of the like mental health, like tragedies that I experienced, dude. Like shit. Like before social media made this okay to talk about, I was depressed, man. Like being in college, drinking every single weekend, running a cycle like nonstop for 2 years. I woke up and some days I literally felt like death, actually. There was certainly times that I didn't want to be here anymore, truly. Um, yeah, there's definitely times that I didn't want to be here anymore, because of the things that I had experienced. Something that developed alongside, because like I feel like as fitness competitors, anyone that is into taking performance enhancing drugs, right? Something that can develop, which makes sense, perfect sense to me, is that you usually are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve a goal. And, hats off to you. It is like admirable to chase your dreams. However, when you do that, with like bodybuilding and fitness, oftentimes you find yourself having that like discipline or like dedication to like getting shit done no matter what trickle into other areas of life. Now, this is the part where that mentality that I really had with bodybuilding at this point, I was like probably 7-8 years into training consistently, like for lack of a better term, religiously, like every day. that I started using that same philosophy and letting it trickle into other areas of my life, like with other substances. That's when shit really got messy.
I do want to get into that, but I just want to back up on some of the points you made because I think they're so important, and the way you were feeling during those times is so valid, brother. And I resonate with you so deeply. The first time I started using and abusing PEDs, I was a senior in high school, and I think a lot of that feelings I had was I wasn't feeling worthy. I didn't have a lot of self-worth, and I was choosing to battle a lot of things on my own. It's so interesting as guys, and I know a lot of guys will be able to relate to this, whether they admit it or not. And again, this kudos to you, brother. Is getting big is directly related to a man's self-worth, especially in today's day and age, especially with social media, and that can just cause so many issues. I think as men today, and during your life as you were entering adulthood, you were already battling so much mentally, and then to mix in gear and sauce, it makes it like a volcano that's erupting. You said you felt like not being here anymore. I felt the same exact thing, brother, and I can't help but think I was probably better off battling my mental issues, your mental issues, if we weren't going to mix in all this gear that really messes with your hormones and your emotions. And like you said, and like myself, brother, during that time of abuse for 10 years, I didn't go to a doctor. I didn't check my blood work. I didn't make sure I was fine. I was doing whatever it takes, whatever dedication, exactly what you said, the dedication to take it to that next level, to be the best athlete you could be. I don't care. I didn't care what it took, but I would do it, and I would inject myself, and I would go for it. So I love the points you made.
100%, man. And, on that point, you kind of reminded me of like something, in one of my last competitions, man, like 2021, this was huge, like huge realization that I had, right? I was finding success in like building my body. I was finding success with the discipline that carried over from the building of my physique and bodybuilding into other areas of my life, like my career. Also, to your point, every single emotion or like thought that you have like internally is only like enhanced like by taking gear. Like if you have like trauma from like when you're a kid and like it creeps in and like says hello to you every like now and then, that shit's gonna be like knocking on your window in like the middle of the night, dude. Like it's gonna be freaking wild. And sometimes you like can't control it. So like it is cool to like chase your goals. It is cool to do what you got to do to like become a successful athlete and like win, but it's not cool to like lose yourself in the process. Like there's so many things that like being clean off of anabolic steroids and gear has allowed me to learn about myself. Like number one is that, dude, I felt like, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I felt like my muscles were like growing faster than my character was.
Spot on.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I was growing, but like we don't have a blueprint as like men in this world to like also mature spiritually and like emotionally. It's like, cool, you can be like blowing up. You could be like standing right next to like Phil Heath, Ryan Terry, whatever, right? But it's a whole different thing to like feel good about yourself in the process, because chemically, like I feel like confidence that is built chemically has the ability to disappear very, very quickly when all of that is like taken away. It's like staying grounded in like your truths. Like if you have things that you haven't dealt with that have caused you to like want to dig into bodybuilding, great. Bodybuilding is a fantastic outlet to keep those like demons or whatever you want to call them, like tamed. But it's not going to solve them, unfortunately. And like gear won't do that either. Most of the time, it'll just make it worse if you don't have other things that are like keeping you grounded. Like, doesn't, like a lot of people say, fitness is my therapy. Okay. But with all that shit in your head that you don't talk to anyone about and like you just think about throughout a workout, like what's improving, what really is improving,
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. When you were on, we'll start with steroids first, and then maybe we'll move on to some other substances.
Sure, whatever you want.
Awesome, brother. Because you put up a post today, which I thought was really, really powerful, very, very powerful. And briefly, I'm going to read it to the viewers. You said 2 years clean off of all substances. First of all, congratulations, dog. Congratulations. I know that was not easy to do. You said a little over 2 years ago, I decided enough was enough. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, constantly regretting decisions, burning relationships, and not being able to show up in the life the way I wanted. The hardest thing I've ever done was face myself and accept responsibility when my life was in shambles. The only person to blame? Me. The only person responsible? Me. The only person who could change all of this? Me. When you were on the sauce, Taj, specifically, how did it make you feel about yourself mentally and emotionally? Not so much physically, but the mental and emotional side of being on like, sauce, steroids. I'm so hesitant to use the S word because of freaking YouTube.
Sure.
How did you feel mentally and emotionally when you're on gear? And at what point did you start mixing in other substances?
For sure. Generally, mentally, when I was on gear, I felt, I'm not going to lie here. Like I felt extremely powerful. I feel like my aura was completely just like, it was huge. Like my ego mentally was huge. Right. And like, that doesn't really amount to anything, having an ego. I really only thought about myself. I was pretty like, not really all stemmed from like insecurity, man. Like I felt like I was the most important person in any single room that I walked into. Because I was not, now we're getting into emotions. I was not emotionally like regulated. Yeah. And like some people can handle that, but for me, I couldn't. This is one of my last shows, right? 2021.
Same with mine, bro. Same.
Yeah. I did 2 shows that season. I got 4th place in the Arizona Open. And, I'm not going to name names, but I had a significant other at this time. We were together for 2.5 years. I had a 4-year hiatus from competing before that. Competing in the first show, she knew that my mental health was like not going well. And I was like, hey, I didn't really peak well. I want to do another show in like 4 weeks. And she's like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. Like your mental health. I couldn't even listen to the people that were closest to me. Like the people that had my best interest, that like I can look back today and recognize my own fault with like a clear set of eyes. I couldn't accept what they were like saying to me. And so I ended up, they were completely right. It was at this point, like, I had lost part of the reason that they said that is I had lost 3 family members within a period of 6 weeks leading up to that first competition. And, it hurts me today. But what hurts me even more is knowing that like I couldn't even be emotionally present for those instances happening. I wasn't even like really willing to accept reality because I was so like locked in. I completely lost myself emotionally. I was just nada. I was non-existent there. I didn't feel anything. I was a robot, like robot mode. I was willing to push myself super hard. And this is the point that I got into other substances. You know, like there's a thing in bodybuilding called a caloric deficit. Most people utilize that to like get super lean. It makes you really tired, right, bro? You know? Um, I was like, okay, well, caffeine isn't what do I found these pills, right? They were prescription pills. And it was my prescription at first, and it evolved into other people's and stuff I got from the street. But prescription Adderall, that was my problem. That was my drug of choice. And I utilized that to compensate for my lack of energy. So I'm running like this entire like cycle to push me into like this next show. But I'm also taking all of these substances in order to like numb myself from like realizing that my family, like there was multiple funerals going on. I didn't even care. And that I had just broken up with that girl of 2.5 years because I didn't want to hear what she had to say. So I remember making so many like irrational decisions, man. I went into that second show. It didn't help that once I got to that show, I ended up winning the overall because, you know, that didn't teach me anything. I was like, oh, this is completely okay, man. Like if I have all these substances in my body and I'm just ignoring my emotions and like I'm winning and like I had a great job and like money's good, great. But after that, right, I had like, there's this picture, like I have somewhere of like me like laying on the ground with like my overall champion trophy. It was at the Phoenix Europa. And I remember like, dude, 2 weeks later, I didn't work out for 2 weeks after that because I just remember going home, having nobody looking in the mirror, looking in my bank account, realizing that I was chill. I was like 25. I had money in the bank, bro. And like, I just had this overall champion trophy. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, what is missing from my life? What is going on here? I have everything. But, you know, the answer that I came to is that like, that was the first time that I ever felt empty. It's like I had everything, but at the same time, I had nothing.
You lost yourself.
I lost myself. So, and that's where, you know, this like statement that I use all the time on like clothing comes up. First, love yourself. Shortly after that,
I got chills when you're reading that.
Yeah, man. That's where it comes from, man. It's I had some people that still cared about me despite me completely ignoring relationships and all that. That invited me to you know, experience what recovery might look like. And I was like, I don't have a problem. Like I just like it's okay to like feel this way. Just my ego is so inflated, man. Like and that's like I feel like a struggle for like a lot of people that have success in any endeavor, right? People that have success that don't build a solid foundation emotionally and mentally along the way to like building a physique or whatever skill set that takes you to the top. People that don't build that like simultaneously can run into serious problems once they get there and they realize that like that's never what they were chasing anyways. What I discovered, and this might not apply to everyone, this is just my experience. What I discovered, man, is that, you know, it's okay to chase your goals and go all in. But when your relationships with the people that are close to you start to suffer, when most importantly, the relationship with yourself becomes non-existent, then it's entirely up to you to take responsibility and accept that you need to make a change. Otherwise, it's just a one-way ticket to places you don't want to go. Trust me.
Beautifully said, bro. Straight from the heart. It's so interesting seeing myself in you, you know, and seeing how you started to associate that enhanced version of yourself as your true self, even though that wasn't really you. And listening to you and kind of hearing what abusing these drugs took away from your life and the relationships it ruined. I was never more egotistical and selfish and irrational and mentally unwell than when I was using gear. I think I'm predisposed with some mental stuff from my lovely parents, but like you said, it all gets amplified, and eventually, whether we want it to or not, it comes out in the worst ways possible. Yeah,
100%.
the biggest thing that I'm trying to just come across in what you pretty much said was we're just not ourselves. And we lie to ourselves that it's us and we're okay and this is normal. But when we do these substances and we're covering up this wound that won't heal with these fake Band-Aids, gear and Adderall and all this, and for me, marijuana and kratom and all these things, that wound
Okay.
isn't really healing. We can act like it is, but it's not. When did
Truly.
you, Taj, decide enough was enough and you stopped using gear?
You want the full truth? Like,
Yeah, brother, let me have it, please.
all right, cool. So I wouldn't have ever stopped taking gear. Unfortunately, that's just the way I'm wired. I wouldn't have ever stopped if I didn't hit rock bottom. Like I said, when I looked in the mirror and I felt completely empty, I felt like a shell of myself. I felt like this figure of Alexander Taj, but there was nothing on the inside, like nothing. I, started that feeling that I felt when I looked in the mirror that one night. It started just putting me into dark places. Like I almost didn't care about anything because I got to that finish line and everything that I was chasing wasn't waiting for me because it's never what I really wanted. I just wanted to feel good. And so I, reached into the bottle. I started taking more gear, right? More drugs. And long story short, dude, super long story short, I ended up getting admitted into a behavioral health center against my will.
Me too, brother. Our stories, I'm telling you, overlap like crazy.
Let's go, man. I feel like some of the best people, honestly, have experiences like that because what it has given to me is something that, shoot, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now if I didn't hit rock bottom. But the goal of this whole talk, dude, is literally to help people from getting to where you and I have been. So I end up in this behavioral health center and I can't believe what is going on. I'm like, what? Is this even real? I remember being there, dude. And within the first 2 days, I actually escaped. I escaped from this behavioral health center. That's a super long story.
Bro, I feel you. They suck.
Yeah, they suck.
They suck.
They suck, man. But when I got out of there, I had my family come and visit me. And this is also something I want to share. I have a phenomenal family. My mother loves me so much. I wouldn't be the man that I am today without both my parents and my siblings. And so this can happen to people that have a good family. This can happen to anyone. I get out of this behavioral health center. I completely screwed my life up, dude. I asked my mother to take me home and she's like, oh yeah, by the way, you've been so out of your mind that apparently you missed rent 3 months in a row. You got evicted. I'm like, whoa. Whoa. So I had to basically move home. I had so much shame, so much what? I had all this money. I just won this, but I had everything, I thought. But having that experience actually humbled me, and it allowed me to go to get recovery, because for me, I was on tons of other substances, like shrooms, like everything, dude. Um, the same dedication I had to putting gear into my body, I made sure that every single weekend I would go out and abuse my body at all the clubs here in Scottsdale, no problem. And it was kind of at that point that when I got out of there, this is when I had my identity crisis, man. When I got out of that behavioral health center, I didn't know who I was, because they put me on this medication that made me gain all this weight. Dude, I competed at 181. When I went into the behavioral health center, I was at 194, right? 4 months after my competition. Mm-hmm. I got out of there, I was 235. Wow. I'm 5'10", bro. I was a big boy. So I'm chunky, and I'm a through and through men's physique dude, bro. I care about how I look, always have. And I was like, dude, who am I? Who am I? I don't have all of this stuff to make me feel this way anymore. Who am I? And this was the point that, really allowed me to actually, build a foundation that wasn't built on sand, build a foundation, naturally. Now I'm able to build a foundation that is built with big rocks. Sand, it's always going to fly away, dude. But when you build your foundation with big rocks, and you're rooted in true character development and understanding who you are without those substances, and realizing that you can actually be a much better person and accomplish things that you probably didn't even know you could, like Exhibit A, without these things that you pigeonholed yourself with. It's dude, look at you. I don't know your entire story, but you have this amazing platform that you're now sharing this type of story with to the community. If you didn't experience the things that you've experienced, maybe you wouldn't even be doing it. Who knows?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Something you said which was so spot on is what you really wanted during all of this is you wanted to be free from the pain. You wanted to be free from the suffering. And you just wanted to feel good. What are the biggest things you notice about yourself, Taj, now that you have been off for a few years? Do you miss yourself? Did you miss yourself? Because I know I tell my girlfriend all the time, man, I missed who I was. I wish I miss this calm, casual Hart who I've always been. How about yourself? What are the things that you notice the most being natural now for off a couple years? Tell me about it.
The things I miss the most about being on gear.
No. Now that you are natural, did you miss anything about being natural? You're natural now, and you're oh, I'm more patient. Oh, I don't freak out as easy. For me, for example, I'm able to handle arguments and these fights I may have with my girlfriend a lot easier. She got in bed the other day with me and was upset about something, and when I'm on gear and she's upset at me, I meet her with the same clash. But now, almost 90 days off, it happened. She's kind of upset over something. And I remember being so ready to just be calm and just listen to her, and everything just simmered down, and we had a beautiful night. So stuff like that.
For sure, man. One of the greatest blessings that I'm extremely grateful to experience today is the ability to feel emotions. Most of the emotions that I was rooted in when I was using gear and among other things, was anger. That was about the only thing that I was able to feel. I don't know why. Maybe there's a science to it, but that's all I could feel, dude. I couldn't feel any remorse. I couldn't feel any guilt. So with feeling, right? it teaches us that, you know, feeling these new things right off the bat from like coming off, it's actually like almost like brand new. It's like you're almost like a child again in some senses. For me, like I was a child when I started. So like after like 10 plus years of doing it, it was brand new. Being able to connect with people genuinely without my giant ego in the way has allowed me to, um, discover my true self, dig deeper into like authenticity and just like showing up differently, man. I feel like decisions that would usually like drive me over a cliff with like anxiety, I'm able to like practice different things today, like meditation, and like take a step back and like see things for what they really are with like a clear set of eyes, and like nothing, no chemical getting in the way of like what I truly would want to do. Cause like, dude, I had so many experiences when I was like using gear that like, I would like blow up on someone. I would like have a temper tantrum. I would like send these like crazy texts to people, like acting like I was like a lawyer from that one show, Suits. And I would look at it, dude, sometimes 20 minutes later, I would be like, I said that? So like I had like those immediate realizations when I was on it. But, today I don't have to like deal with any of that. I can just, I feel like being on gear and other substances, like emotions are like this. Today I'm kind of like this. It's a little bit more stable.
Do you have any temptations to start using again ever? Does it ever hit you?
I mean, dude, like I could ask you the same thing. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like
it does.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, most of the people that I'm around and associate with in like Arizona and around the world are like bodybuilders, and like they look great. I'm like, damn, like, oh, only if I would, but you know what? Like, I feel like I like who I am today. And, everything that like I have in my life, I truly don't think that I would be able to show up the same way and have achieved the same things that I have now without making that like hard decision. So it's like, as much as like that, like thing would be like nice to have, like that body, or like to be able to like compare to someone, I don't really feel like I need it, because like I have created a true relationship with myself. Like I love myself today. That's really what it comes down to. So I don't need to go do that. Even if I like feel like it sometimes, like I love myself too much to want to go back to the old me.
I love that, bro. Your newfound ability, my newfound ability to feel these emotions and actually process them. And like you said, how you're now, going back to building and having genuine connections without this massive ego in the way, which is so, so true. If someone's watching this who's on gear right now, Taj, or thinking about it, what would you want them to honestly consider before making that choice? Last question.
Before making a decision to hop on gear, if you are still natural, I would highly, highly encourage someone, based on my experience, to dig a little bit deeper into their why. That's really the foundation of all this. It's like, okay, you want to do that, but why? And then depending on that why, it's like, I want to be Mr. Olympia. Okay. Like, I'll tell you one thing. No Mr. Olympia champion wants to like get to the top and like be standing next to Ryan Terry, right? And feel empty.
Right.
Like, you don't want that. So it's like, do you have the foundation built up to handle this like turmoil if it like comes in and like starts to like stir you up? If you don't, I would 100% say that that is the number one priority. Making sure that emotionally and mentally you are stable and you have different ways to like take care of yourself before considering doing that. Now, like I said, I don't have anything against gear. I think that some of the best people, some of the best athletes in the world do what they got to do to win. And that's totally cool. But once again, climbing to the top without a solid foundation, like emotionally and mentally, it's one way ticket to falling down real quick.
I love that. And I think when we're 17, 18, 19 years old, the foundation is still barely being built, man. One of the first words I ever learned was from my Uncle Tom, my dad's best friend. He said, foundation, we got to build a good foundation. And I know I said last question, but I do have one more. It's just kind of
Let's
adding
go,
on
bro.
to that. Man, this is such a powerful interview. You have no idea. What if they are on gear, but down deep, they would love to get off? What would you tell people in this case scenario? Because I run into guys all the time where they say certain things to me. I had a guy bumping me to the gym the other day, all juiced up, one of my boys. I love him to death. And he knows about what I'm doing. And he kind of bumped me. He said, Hart, man, I would love to get off. And then kind of walked away. I'm like, bro, what? Like, what? In my mind, that's deep, bro. We brush it off like it's not, but that's deep. So what would you, Taj, tell someone who is currently using and abusing gear and down deep, they probably know they would love to be off and feel amazing naturally? What would you tell these people?
That is such an amazing question, man. That is such an amazing question. In order to I know you could probably edit this. Just the wheels are turning.
Take your time, bro. Take your time. This platform's amazing. It actually cuts out all the gaps, so I won't even know.
Oh, dude.
Take your time. Take your time.
The first thing I would want to say, bro, is that you are enough. You are literally enough. And, having that realization isn't always easy because especially for someone that's like always raising the bar, they might have other people in their life tell them that they're fine the way that they are before they ever believe that themselves. And so I definitely have some empathy for being in that situation because I've been in that situation to where I heard people telling me that like I'm enough, but like I wasn't able to believe it yet.
Yeah.
And look, the journey of self-discovery always starts with learning how to love yourself. Being able to show up like exactly as you are and love yourself just like that. That is, I feel like really what the goal is. Like someone that's afraid to like get off gear, I would just really ask them, why? Is that stemming from fear? Because fear is a very powerful thing. And, a lot of times like the counteract to fear is faith. Being able to believe that you are enough and that, you're more than a physique, right? You're more than like your muscles. It's like, what's going to matter? Like, look at guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger today. Definitely like mad respect to Arnold. He's literally on a picture on my wall, but definitely not the way that he looked. But look at everything that he's achieved. He's a prime example. He's the governor, the terminate. Like, come on, man. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Come on. I feel like guys like that have really showed us that, beyond like the body, there's other things that can develop alongside. So like stepping away from that oftentimes is just the beginning. It really is just the beginning to like discovering who you truly are. And like bodybuilding for me even allowed me to discover like who I am without like the gear and the stage. And, the one word that always like comes back to me is like, I am resilient. Like that's like my new identity without all that.
Brother, I love what you said to end this off. You say a lot of guys who are on gear, enough means being on gear. The belief that you are enough is when you are on gear. And that's a very strong belief that I had. And like you said, the first thing that they would need to do is to start to break that belief that you are enough without the vial that you're using to inject yourself. And I also love what you said. You said beyond the body, there is so much more value to who you truly are. It's not just about the body. And you listed examples with Arnold. This YouTube video, this channel, for anyone watching, this isn't about telling anyone what to do. It is about understanding ourselves better. And in the words of Taj, I am resilient. Remember those words. Taj, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This is going to be more powerful than we can even imagine, brother. More powerful than we can even imagine. So thank you, brother, so much.
Really appreciate it, man. The platform that you've created to do this is outstanding, and I'm really happy to share. Appreciate it.
Awesome.